Selamlar sevgili Evrensel Web TV izleyenleri. ABD'de George Floyd'un polisler tarafından katledilmesinin ardından başlayan ve 3. haftasını bitirmeye yaklaşan halk eylemliğinin ileri boyutlara taşındığı ABD batı yakasındaki Washington eyaletinin Seattle kentine şimdi gidiyoruz. Amerikan Emek Partisi'nin yayın organı The Red Phoenix muhabiri Leif Giering'e birazdan bağlanacağız. Geçtiğimiz salı gününden itibaren Seattle'ın Capitol Hill bölgesindeki polislerin karakolu terk etmesinin ardından eylemciler bölgeyi Capitol Hill Özerk bölgesi ilan etti. Şimdi arkadaşımız Leif bölgeden bize bağlanarak son gelişmeleri aktaracak. So Leif, welcome. I hope you are doing well. I would like to ask first, how did it all start? How is it going on there? What's going on there? Could you explain us a bit?
So the protests in Seattle have actually been going on for about 2.5 weeks, give or take. The East Precinct itself has only been occupied for since around Monday night. The protests initially started in downtown Seattle. We're several blocks. We're about half a mile from the city center, which is where the initial protests began. Initially, they were not at any particular location. They were all over downtown. Several police cars were set on fire. Police used excessive tear gas and pepper spray.
Leif, I would like to ask, what is the current situation right now? Because protesters are, as far as we see from the pictures, they are camping over there. And could you tell us about a bit current situation?
There are tensions, but they're more cold rather than hostile. For the most part, there hasn't been any police presence here, with the exception of yesterday when a small amount of police officers re-entered the precinct building to discuss with lead organizers. We don't know exactly what their plans are. Rumor is that the police intend to retake the precinct eventually, but it appears that that's not imminent. As far as the state of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone so far, it's more or less business as usual for the businesses here. Businesses are still open. People are coming and going freely. The only difference is that there's no cops and the streets are closed off, so people are walking around. But it's a very relaxed atmosphere. There's no feeling of danger or anything here.
So, could you show us around a little bit what it looks like?
Yes, I will. So that is the captured precinct. See the sign. This goes around for a few blocks. We're roughly in the middle of everything right now.
So as I see, there are some tents over there. Are they giving out food or like other?
They serve a variety of purposes. Some are medic tents. Others distribute food. There's also redundant tents down at the bottom of the hill, and also in Cal Anderson Park, which is a public playing field that's around the corner behind that building.
So, Leif, could you tell us about what the protesters demand? What are their demands?
So there's a list of 5 formal demands. 2 of them have already been met, and I can actually, I'll show you they're listed on a banner that's down by the park. I'm walking towards there right now. At the top of my head, they're all related to police reform, with the exception of the first demand was end the curfew. After the protests that happened a couple of weeks ago, there was a citywide curfew that lasted overnight for several days. They finally ended the curfew after protesters kept rioting. Although, to be honest, the curfew was never really enforced. If I'm not mistaken, there were no arrests made. City leadership here has been relatively more lenient compared to in some other areas. I'm getting closer to the list of demands right now.
So does it mean that as long as demands were being fulfilled, satisfied, protesters will retreat from those autonomous zone?
That's correct. I'm going to very quickly turn the camera around again to show you the sign.
Yes, please.
So you can see that two of our demands have already been met. The third demand is police have been hiding their badge numbers. They claim that they're doing it out of respect for fallen officers, which of course is nonsense. We had an initiative called I-940 that was publicly voted that was supposed to create more rules for conduct for police officers, but it was heavily criticized for not going far enough. And then the last issue is reallocate funding, specifically towards health and social services.
So I would like to ask Leif, who are leading these protests? Who are leading the autonomous zone? Is there any network or a certain activist group or a group, basically?
So it's difficult to say. The leadership has been very fractured, and there's not completely coherent communication. On the one hand, we have Black Lives Matter organizers, but we also have a group of people who are running an email list that exists for the sole purpose of keeping people in touch. I'm one of the admins on that list, in fact. Although we're having, because of the, this is a very heavily anarchist influenced, and so naturally it has been difficult to rally everyone under a unifying organization. That's one of the main challenges. This, as much progress as this autonomous zone has made, that is one of the main challenges that lies ahead.
So, Leif, I don't want to take your time that much, and I would like to ask lastly if you have anything to add before we finish the interview.
I would say that it's obviously something that's totally unprecedented. Nobody saw this coming. We don't know how long it's going to last. Some people are really optimistic and they expect it to last for weeks or months. Some people have said even years. Personally, I think that sooner or later that the city will take back the area. The one unofficial plan of the protesters that's not listed on the banner is to turn the police precinct into a community center. It is unclear if that will actually come to fruition, however. My perspective is that it has already made a lot of progress just by setting an example, just to show people that something like this can be done. But down the road, whether it's for the so-called Chaz or future incidents in other cities that are similar to this, the main problem ahead that needs to be tackled is making leadership, having structure. There's nothing that can get done without communication at the center. And I think, so that's, yeah.
Thank you so much for informing us, Leif. I guess it's still early noon in Seattle, so have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.